I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. First, they came for the undocumented Americans, and I did not speak out because I was not. You knew that original speech from Pastor Martin Niemöller from the late 1940s, and you knew you heard the first few letters of the first word of the Confession of Eternal Guilt and Regret as they began to echo over the last long weekend in Southern California, in Atlanta, in Austin, in other places. And you knew that ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, may have said there was nothing unusual about the roundups, and yet you also knew that the barbarian-in-chief could not resist boasting about the truth and making liars in the process out of his gangs of deportation stormtroopers. And you knew that he would say something like, "The crackdown on illegal criminals is merely the keeping of my campaign promise. Gang members, drug dealers, and others are being removed." Others. Like the mother of two Americans, teenagers. She's been living here since she was 14. She checked in annually for 8 years with her immigration officer, just as they told her to, each time receiving work authorization, until last week when she checked in with them and they seized her and drove her to Mexico. Gang member? Drug dealer? No. When she was originally arrested, she was part of the cleaning crew at an Arizona water park. Her name is Guadalupe Garcia de Reyes, and Donald Trump is proud of having removed the danger she represented to this country, because Donald Trump is a cowardly, hate-filled bully who was elected on a promise to scapegoat people with dark skin. Because from disease or abuse, or as Clarence Darrow said of the murderers Leopold and Loeb, because somewhere in the infinite processes that go to the making up of the boy or the man, something slipped. For whatever reason, Donald Trump thinks expelling people who will uncomplainingly do the jobs that people who were born here often do not want to do is somehow to his credit and is somehow to this nation's benefit, when in fact the whole history of this country is predicated on people who came here, like Friedrich Trump and like Friedrich Olbermann, who uncomplainingly did the jobs that people who had been born here would not do, in the hopes that their sons or grandsons or great-great-grandsons might flourish in this nation of bounty and goodness. Instead, we have this Trump advisor, Stephen Miller, the one with the dead eyes, shifting side to side as if the eyes themselves were rebelling against his racism and deception, insisting on television that, quote, "before a job is given to a foreign national, that job is offered first to an American worker." Because they're going to be overwhelmed at that Arizona water park with American workers who want the job for minimum wage of cleaning the shit from the toilet bowls. And again, on behalf of Friedrich Trump and Friedrich Olbermann, I apologize to Guadalupe Garcia de Reyes and her family and the world. And I also have to apologize to Trump's supporters, so filled with misdirected rage about the failures in their own lives that they have never considered what happens to them if all the people who do all those jobs suddenly disappear. Step back from Niemöller's lament for a moment and table the hatred and the racism and the scapegoating and the terror by night, and remember, Trump supporters, who is now expected to do Guadalupe Garcia de Reyes' job at that water park, or somebody else's job in the kitchen, or yet another's job in the crop fields on the farms? You are. Or your son. Or the ex-factory worker who isn't getting his factory job back no matter what Trump promised him, because there's nobody anywhere who will buy the product the factory produces, not at those prices. Take the emotion out of it. Take the rightness and the wrongness out of this un-American spectacle, this Salem witch trial of 2017, and ask yourself what happens to the food on your table when the people who harvest it aren't here anymore because you decided they didn't belong here anymore. That food rots in the field. See, the thing is, this throw the illegals purge has been done here before, in America, recently, and the results were disastrous. In 2011, the state of Georgia passed a bill called HB 87. The proud state representative from Peachtree City, Matt Ramsey, a co-author, said at the time the bill would give the police the right to demand immigration documents from anybody detained for any reason. It would also, he said, punish those who hired or harbored undocumented Americans. Our goal is, said Representative Ramsey, to eliminate incentives for illegal aliens to cross into our state. And how well it all worked. An estimated 425,000 undocumented Americans were employed in Georgia in 2010. But by the harvest time of 2011, at least 40% of the workers Georgia farmers needed were gone. The Georgia-born unemployed whose jobs those, quote, illegals, unquote, had taken from them? They not only wanted no part of the back-breaking labor, those few who tried it were evidently not as good at it. 40% of the men and women who actually knew how to work the farms of Georgia and how to survive on minimal incomes suddenly vanished. And as Representative Matt Ramsey and the others cheered, an estimated $140 million worth of Georgia produce rotted in the fields. By 2012, as farmers planted less due to the sudden labor scarcity in Georgia, the state was forced to find new farm workers. Prisoners. They bust in prisoners to work the farms. Georgia's agricultural economy still has not fully recovered. Oh, and he's now former Representative Matt Ramsey. So if you are so lacking in human soul that what this madman bigot Trump has just begun to roll out doesn't sear your flesh when you embrace it, forget the ethics for a while and think instead of what it will do to your wallet when the ticket to the water park doubles in price because Guadalupe is not there to clean it for you, and the price of the meal at the fancy restaurant or the fast food shack triples because your cousin isn't there to cook it for you, and the price of the food you buy at the supermarket quadruples because none of them are there to pick it for you. You don't have to have the heart of Pastor Niemöller to have the regret of Pastor Niemöller then, do you? In fact, you don't have to have a heart at all. Just a wallet. First, they came for the undocumented Americans, and I did not speak out because I was not undocumented, and I didn't realize that without them, it would cost too much for me to feed my own family. Resist. Peace.